All right, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, episode 3 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, aka Ramona Rents a Video. Yes. Also, a little snippet that I forgot to mention in the other episode reaction reviews and all that type of stuff. They changed it a little bit. They changed the origin story of, the first Ramona and Scott kind of hang out or whatever. Or maybe I shouldn't say that. The first, or the second actual thing and all that. Because, at least in the movie, and what I expect is in the comic as well, Ramona is not a Netflix DVD deliverer. She's an Amazon deliverer. Like, she delivers packages from Amazon, which is not as glamorous as it is these days. I mean, it was a life-changing thing or whatever, and now it's kind of life-changing the other way. But anyway, yeah, I guess Netflix kind of did that because, they're big, huge... One of their huge competitors is Prime Video, and Prime Video is, associated with Amazon and all that type of stuff, so yeah. But is that necessarily a bad change? Absolutely not. It kind of gives the same point across, except instead of an Amazon package or something just random, it's a Netflix DVD, and yeah. Which kind of builds the universe a little bit too, where Scott actually rents a Chris Evans movie, like the Chris Evans character. I forget his name. But why do I bring all this up now? Well, it's because there are still movie rental stores in this universe. I guess it's not supposed to be taking place in the, modern day. It's supposed to take place in early 2000s, late 90s type of deal, which is fine. It's all good. It gives off that really great aesthetic. I don't know. It gives off a cozy aesthetic, in my opinion. But unfortunately, that's where the critique kind of comes in a little bit. Not necessarily with the 90s aesthetic, but with the where I thought this show was going to go all along, up until, when I finally figured out Scott is dead. This is where Ramona is actually dealing with her exes and all that stuff, which is, I kind of expected that. It's not really a life-changing thing or whatever. It's just kind of... This is where it gets a little predictable. But to be fair, if, I'd rather have my own person dealing with the exes and how toxic they are, rather than another person coming in to deal with my exes and all that stuff, So this is a better interpretation, at least in my eyes, where, she deals with her exes her own way, instead of just, dealing with it through Scott and letting Scott deal with it and all that, And all the while, she's looking and seeing who killed Scott, because she believes one of her exes killed Scott, I guess. So, yeah, it's kind of like a murder mystery now, which is not necessarily what I was expecting with Scott Pilgrim, but then again, it's a reinterpretation, and you know what? I'm here for it. I'm still here for it. It's a little negative, but still, it's been done like this for many, many times already. I've seen this done many, many times already, but then again, I haven't seen it with this animation style or this story being told specifically, so, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I'm kind of expecting it. I was just hoping it would be somewhat, more extravagant, I guess. I don't know. And also, to be fair to the show, they actually started to flesh out a little bit more of the backstory with most of the characters. Like, for instance, the video store shop, like, worker and all that actually had a semi-relationship with Scott. And Scott kind of dropped the ball on that. And yeah, she's just been living her sort of life as it is today and all that, which is kind of interesting, you know? It's like, even though Scott sees Envy, or aka Brie Larson, as like, you know, his one and only toxic ex, he actually has a lot more, which is kind of interesting, you know? It deals with a lot more mental health and a lot more, you know, putting your mind into the eyes of other people than the original Scott Pilgrim did, which I gotta say, I like this interpretation specifically. You know, like, there's more than meets the eye when it comes to, you know, other people and how we take relationships and all that type of stuff. I also like the giant fight that Ramona has with the first ex she's gonna fight, which is not Dave Patel anymore. It's actually her, that, I don't even know how to really say this without being canceled. Don't cancel me, but the lesbian that she had for a while at camp, that's her first fight. And you know what? I gotta say, it's really inventive and very interesting. Like, they actually go into all these movies and stuff and like fight in all these movies, which I gotta say, I'm here for. That's inventive, that's kind of interesting and all that stuff. And on top of it, she doesn't kill him, you know, like in the movie and I guess in the comic series, if I'm remembering correctly, you know, the Scott actually, you know, kills her exes and all that stuff, like, you know, their coins at the end of each and every fight. But Ramona actually works it out with them, or at least works it out with, you know, this one person, and something tells me this is going to be the least toxic of any of her type of talks that she's gonna have with everybody, because every other guy seems very, very extremely toxic. But I don't know, she worked it out with this one woman that she dated for a while, and yeah, I gotta respect that. All right, I guess spoilers now for this rest of this. Spoilers for the rest of this. More prophetic spoilers and all that. So apparently, Scott isn't dead. He was kidnapped and was forced to, I guess, I don't know, like, I guess an ex is like faking his death for some reason, and Ramona is going to try to find out what it's all about. And yeah, it's a slight twist on the murder mystery whodunit type of deal, but still, you know, it's, I don't know. Anyway, I think the fight in between all the movies and all that stuff, I think that's the second best part of this whole episode. What I thought was the best part and what made me smile, and maybe this is because I'm a movie guy and a TV guy or whatever, I really enjoyed young Neil writing a screenplay. I don't know why. That was just absolutely hilarious. And like his like sleep demon or something actually wrote it, and he just woke up to it and was like, oh yeah, here it is, I guess. So there you are. I just found that to be absolutely hilarious. I don't know what the heck went on with that. I assume it's going to happen. They're going to explain it at the end of the series or whatever, but it's just wonderful. Just a cherry on top of the beautiful Sunday that is this episode. Also, I like Knives actually, you know, doing something other than just pining for Scott, which is what her character was in the movie for the most part and all that, you know. This time, she's actually helping out in, you know, songwriting with the main person in the band, Steven Still, that's his name. But yeah, they're actually working together to make songs and all that. And you know what? I'm down for it. I don't think it's going to go into romantic territory like Scott was with her. But I just like friendship. This seems like a very interesting, like, you know, a boy and a girl can actually just be friends and be creative together and all that. And I like it. I like where this is going. But yeah, this episode seems very less shock of just how awesome it is, and it's just kind of settling in. And you know what? I'm all for it. I'm all for where this show is going to go. This show seems to be pretty decent. I would say that this episode is maybe not necessarily the best that this show has kind of had so far. I would say episode 2 is probably the biggest one in my opinion, maybe. But still, this show it's like comparing, I don't know, The Godfather Part 1 to The Godfather Part 2. They're both still great, but I would prefer Godfather Part 1 over Part 2, at least in my eyes. But anyway, though, guys, that's all I got for this episode. What did you guys think of this episode? Does it rock? Does it suck? What do you guys have to say? Comment, let me know, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. More vids come your way, and hey, take care, guys.